Hi everyone, welcome again. My name is Buba, the Heart of a Giant. So today we'll be talking to two special people, Tawana James and Jazmine Ray. What name did she like to be called? Because I remember, what was her name?
It's Evelyn Charrisse McRae, but she was always Charrisse or Sherry.
There you go. Thanks.
Sherry.
Well, I remember when she first got diagnosed, I think I was going off to college. So she was just learning about her heart disease. So she found out she had congestive heart failure. So at that point, they told her, I think at that point, they told her she needed a pacemaker. She was like, I'm not letting nobody cut up on me. Like, I'm gonna work this out. I'm gonna figure it out. But then it got to the point where it was like, you either get a pacemaker or we don't know what's gonna happen. So
how do you take care of yourself? How do you make sure that you are both, effective as a caregiver, but you also remain healthy and strong,
You have to communicate. If nothing else, like you have to, even if she's going off on you, you still have to talk to her. There was times she would shut down.
But what are some of those moments that, first thing that come to your mind that you miss about her?
Well, we used to get into it all the time because she used to like to leave things around the house, I would pick up on. Because I'm not a nitpicker. I just
OCD.
Stuff she done.
If we had a vote right now, I can see Vicky laughing. If we had a vote right now, I think you wouldn't win that one. So.
Yeah, she was my girl, though, man. She definitely. We had great conversations. We cooked some good meals, and she was just my support when I had to deal with this one here, I've had some good days. I've had some hills to climb. I've had some weary days and some sleepless nights. But when I look around and I think things over, all of my good days outweigh my bad days. I won't complain.
Hi everyone, welcome again. My name is Buba, the Heart of a Giant. So today we'll be talking to two special people, Tawana James and Jazmine Ray. McRae?
McRae, you got it.
Oh my God, I'll be in so much trouble. So it's a great pleasure for me. And then for those who don't know what this platform is essentially a discussion, a simple conversation with other patients and other patients' family and providers. But the goal is really to get to know each other, to get to know the stories behind and share notes. And then questions are welcome. So feel free to chime in, feel free to unmute yourself. And then in some cases, I'll be, calling you out. And we have some familiar faces. I always get to know new people. So if you like to get, invited or get notification of the next call, feel free to kind of subscribe to the blog and let me know if you just want to do the calls and if you don't want to be spammed by the other calls, emails. But usually I send a mail out once a week and I skip a week here and there. So with that, today is a simple, like I said, there's no set questions. So the idea is to get to know the folks. But because this is a special one, I wanted to really get to tell you who we're meeting and then what kind of brings this moment to get, made this moment and who brought us together and why we're here. So I'm gonna start with a photo that where the day I met a special lady at the Brigham few years ago. I hope you guys can see that. Sorry. All right. So this is how I met this lady, Evelyn Charrisse. So we both had the LVAD, and this was October 2017. She had her LVAD for I think a few months already, and then I had this was maybe 8 or 9 months after my LVAD, and then we're taking pictures, and then she was already photobombing me, and this is the first time we met. Actually, the first and the last time we met, but she became a friend, and we connected over the phone, and you can see her behind the back. Just this is with the person we met. It's just full of spirit. And then poor Tawana, we're talking to Tawana, and then discussing about what to do, what not to do. I remember the first thing we talked about was the dressing change. For those that don't know the LVAD, you're not supposed, the doctors advise you not to do the dressing change yourself, and let other people do it. And we already know she wasn't doing it, so I was asking. I was trying to be like, don't do this, don't do that. But that moment was special because I think that's what connected us. Because I was giving her the advice to do the right thing. I was doing my dressing change myself too. So we were like, okay, this is my good friend. I was thinking because my wife was pregnant, and she was like pregnant with 2 big twins, and then I would have to go to the hospital and came back. And one day the hospital, I think they billed me by mistake. Sort of billing insurance, and I'm like, how much? So I was like, I'll do this by myself, So and then, but from the beginning, they knew that at some point I wanted to be independent. So but that was the spirit that I met one day, and then we became friends over the phone. But especially I became friends with Tawana because Tawana was the one I would text every day, twice a week. And then this was the other reason I was really connected to you guys, because I used to go do martial art in Randolph, and I would go twice a week, Tuesday and Thursday. And then so every day I get on the bus, or every day I drive there, I'll be in the traffic, and I'll be like, hey, who's in Randolph? And I'll check Tawana, and she was like, you in the traffic, right? So it was like, that friendship developed, and then she would tell me about what she's doing. But I know every time I call or every time I text, Miss Charrisse was up to something. She was just living. She was just out or somewhere. It was just something going on. And for me, it was really, special to meet her, because she was like one of the first LVAD people that I knew was just living life, and she was Black, and she had a great story, and she was just a lot of energy. And I met her once, and she touched me so much, and sadly, a few years after I get the text from Tawana about about she kind of moving on, and it was a very tough day, I think, for me, and I didn't know how to compare and how to be for you guys, and we knew you guys had a large family and a lot of dogs, and she was such full of life, so I went, I remember I'll get on this my own, we'll get to the people today, but I really had to kind of explain where this came from and how important I think this person is special, because if she touched me like that one day, I cannot imagine, for you guys every day, and all, obviously all the trouble, all the excitement, I can see the spirit, but I can also see how much joy and love she brought to people's life. And she's still doing it today, because this moment is special. So with that, I'd like to let our guests introduce themselves. We'll start with Tawana James, who has a special background that I really want to know about. And then Jazmine will come in afterwards. So welcome, and thanks for sharing your story with us. It'll be a bit about her, but we won't let her hijack our moment, and then we'll move on to you guys. But yeah, welcome.
Okay, welcome. Thank you. So I'm Tawana James. When I first met Charrisse, I think she was probably 18. So I was 16, and she was dating my brother, and we didn't get along too good in the beginning, because that was my brother and she was taking him away from me. So after that, we kind of became inseparable. Through her having 3 children, Jazmine and Al and Darius, and we just lived along with Miss Vicky over there in the camera. We was doing some ripping and running back in those days. So Charrisse, when she came to Boston just for a doctor's appointment, and ended up, being a candidate for the LVAD. And they were looking for apartments and where she was going to live. And just one day, and I was at the hospital, and she said, I would feel more comfortable living with you if that's okay. Like, you need to call your husband and ask and whatever. And I was like, I was so honored. Like, really, you're gonna put your life in my hands, like me? So I was so honored that she asked. It was, I don't know, I was just kind of blown away. So when I came home and, talked to my husband and my daughter, and everybody was like, of course, like, yes, she has to come. She kind of just came into the house where I look back and I'm like, we were living in the house, but I don't know how much of a home it was. And when she came in, like a whirlwind, like I had a daughter, but she was kind of like running me at that point. And she was like, like, you're not gonna let her do that. And you got to step up and you got to let her know this is not how it's going down. And she kind of just brought us all back together. We would like, somebody's eating in this room, somebody's over here watching TV, somebody's in their room. But when she came, it was like, no, like, why we can't all eat together? Like, why we can't all cook together? Like, let's get in there and do everything. He kind of brought a flair to this house that to this day, we're all still sitting around. We kind of look at each other sometimes like, yeah, what would Charrisse say right now if we was just sitting here doing this? Like, turn the music on and start dancing and singing. And so like I said, I was just so honored that she even, wanted to be here. She kind of came in and got this house in top shape. Like, I was trying to get my house painted for years, and she came in and was like, we need to paint this house. And her and my husband was picking out samples and buying paint. They painted together, everything. I was like, okay, what else can we get? Let's get it all done. So she came and painted her room and changed all the furniture out. Like, this, I need to make this like comfortable for me. And if you see all the hearts, if you look close, you'll see all the hearts behind me, heart pillows. She was all about love. And she could be a whippersnapper and tell you off, but she could also love you right back. So it was a journey. It was a journey. I remember all of our emergency room in the middle of the night visits. She would just wake up like, I gotta go to the emergency room. Like, let's go. I'm like, what happened? What's going on? And we would get in those emergency room nurses. I feel bad for them sometimes. I would laugh because she was in there running them and telling them how she was a nurse, she was a doctor, she was everything. But I miss her dearly. I miss her every day. Sometimes I just come up in here and sit and we talk. She comes to me every now and then and do some real scary stuff, but that's her. And I knew it was going to happen. So I just accept it. But it was definitely a journey. And then meeting all of the folks at the team at Brigham and Women's. And I always remember the day that we met you with your wife and just all of the, that's her, sexy, sassy. That's all of the people. There was not one person that she crossed paths with that did not remember her and remember the joy and all the love and just her spirit. Dr. Lewis, all of the other doctors that, the nurses at the hospital is like, they knew her after the first appointment. They knew her by name, and I think they looked forward for her monthly appointments. I think they look forward to just what comedy was she going to bring today.
So before we get to Jazmine, what name did she like to be called? Because I remember, going to the hospital, I'll be like, do you know Evelyn? They're like, Charrisse? I'm like, no, Evelyn. They're like, no, Charrisse. What was her name?
It's Evelyn Charrisse McRae, but she was always Charrisse or Sherry. You
There you go.
Sherry.
And that's the daughter who probably who's starting to look like her, by the way.
Right.
Which was funny. So yeah, tell us about. I don't know how you talk about your mom, but like tell us about this journey with your mom, and like Tawana did. Like tell us about, what's the first thing that you can tell us about you and your mom.
Well, I remember when she first got diagnosed. I think I was going off to college, so she was just learning about her heart disease. So she found out she had congestive heart failure. So at that point, they told her, I think at that point, they told her she needed a pacemaker. She was like, I'm not letting nobody cut up on me. Like, I'm gonna work this out. I'm gonna figure it out. But then it got to the point where it was like, you either get a pacemaker or we don't know what's gonna happen. So, but at that point, we were in Georgia. We had moved. I graduated from college. We moved to Georgia, and at some point, I think actually she was there. She did not have a pacemaker when I got my townhome where I'm living now. That was in 2010.
Yeah.
And before I got my townhome, she got the pacemaker. So this is a really crazy story. So I was at work. And my mom she does it herself. She's not going to wait for anybody. So we had just moved in. At this point, I think she's putting up pictures. She connecting the washer and dryer, cables. And I get a call from work. She's like, she liked to use a little profanity, but she'd be like, B, I just got shocked. Like her pacemaker had went off.
Yeah.
Because she had went upstairs. I guess she started a load of clothes. She went upstairs, came down, there was water everywhere. The washer was not connected properly. So when she came down and I guess saw the water on the floor, something happened and her pacemaker shocked her.
Yeah.
So at that point, it was like, Mom, just sit down somewhere. Like, but you could not get her to sit down. It was very hard to get her to sit down.
It's amazing. It's like as a patient, you go through this moment, but I talk to a lot of patients, and I think there's the one common thread is like that will to live, that will to enjoy life.
Yeah.
I think it does make a difference. And you can see those that have that spirit. And obviously the pain is there. Like you said, somebody got shocked. Sean can tell you about that feeling of being shocked. It's like they say, I've never been shocked, but like the best experience I got is like a horse kicked you from the inside.
It'll definitely grab your attention. Yes.
There you go. Yeah. And then, but at the same time, you gotta have that strong will. Sometimes my wife will say being stubborn. And then I have friends that be like, no, it's not being stubborn, it's determination, So it seems like she was really focused and determined, and but helping others, always being there for other people, which is special. But I think there's so many questions that comes to mind at first. But I think for me, we'll probably start with we'll bounce it around a little bit, but we'll probably start with you two being caretakers, and then and that's a question I think was sent in today, and then I think it definitely would be a good starting point in light of what we've been going through last year. Self-care has been really important, but as a caregiver and as a caretaker yourselves, for family member that you love that sometimes are very feisty, how do you what are your how do you take care of yourself? How do you make sure that you are both effective as a caregiver, but you also remain healthy and strong? How do you what do you do, and how do you make sure you don't burn out and become a burden for make it harder for all of you?
I would say, with my experience with my mom, you have to communicate. If nothing else, like you have to, even if she's going off on you, you still have to talk to her. There was times she would shut down, but it's still like, okay, you can shut down if you want. And I'm sure my aunt could attest to it. It's like, we still gonna do X, Y, and Z. Like, I'll give you a little time, but we got to do, these are things we have to do, and make sure that you're not staying in that. If you may be down, you're not staying in that place.
Yeah.
You know, but she was that person too for people when you may be sulking, or she give you a little moment, but it's like, okay, snap out of it. Let's go here. Let's go to the store. Let's get a little retail therapy, like stuff like that.
Yeah. For me, there were, you have to take care, you have to take care of yourself. In the beginning, when she first came, we had trips that we would go on as a family. And at the beginning, she wasn't comfortable going on those trips. So making sure that you also have respite care for her. So whether Jazz came up or Vicky took care of her, or made sure she check in every day, go to the store with her. Sheila, she's also on the call, another one of her daughters. Just making sure that, and Janae, you making sure that you also have other people that are trained on what to do with the VAD, making sure that if an alarm goes off, everybody in our circle took that class at the hospital. Wow. To know exactly what to do. And Jazz, when you say, when I used to do her dressing changes and she swore I was doing them backwards, I got the instructions written right here and I'm doing exactly what they told me. Even though they told me not to videotape, I videotaped them doing the dressing at the hospital. We knew what we were doing, but she's like, you ain't doing it right. Yeah. You didn't use it. You got to change your gloves. Did you touch the glove? Make sure you put it on right. So when she would get like that, it was like, okay, I'm gonna back off. I'm gonna let you do it. And then when you get that tape stuck, then I'm gonna have to come and we got to open up a whole nother pack to get it back right again. So, but we'll do that if you want to. And so another thing is, like, she didn't get down much, but there were times when she missed home because she was here for probably a year before she went on a plane to go back home.
And she doesn't like to fly. So that was a big thing too for her.
Yeah, and she was missing her dogs, and she had all her dogs, and she was missing them like crazy. And I remember our first trip going to Atlanta, and we had to get some Ativans. We got some Ativans, and we popped those, and she popped those Ativans in the airport. When we got on the plane, she got in, locked and loaded, and she just crashed out. And when we landed in Atlanta, I shook her and said, "Girl, we made it."
Oh my God.
So
what was that? Was she scared of height or something? What was the phobia about flight? Well, what caused that?
Said, my aunt had scared her a long time ago about flying. So ever since,
I need a name.
Oh, my auntie Brenda.
That's funny. Y'all remember the show the 18 when they used to have to drug Mr. T to put him on a plane?
No, she would not even get on a plane. Like, you could not get her on a plane. We would drive everywhere. Florida, we're driving. Boston to Florida, we're driving.
Because when she was sick and I met her, and that's what she said there. She literally drove from Atlanta to Boston. Yeah. Wow. And then you mentioned dogs, and I think it would be important to tell us how many dogs she has and what she made you do with your side. And who's taking care of the dogs now? What's happening with the dogs?
So she had 5 dogs. It was 5. There was Gucci, he passed. Harley, I mean, not Harley. Oh, sorry. Sydney passed. I done draw a blank. Sydney passed and Harley passed. Gucci is with my brother. My brother has all the dogs right now. So it's Gucci. Bandit ran away and has not returned. Riley, which she found Riley in my neighborhood and gifted Riley to us. My brother lived with me at the time. But my brother has Riley, and then Bella, who was someone else's dog, but was gifted to her. So she was like the dog whisperer, I always would say.
And you didn't keep any dog?
No, my Aunt Tawana has, and she would have had 6 dogs, has Brady, which
Yeah.
I got Brady, and I think I kept Brady for a week, but between Gavin and Brady, just too much. It was too much. I couldn't handle it. And Gavin is my
your
son,
right?
so
How old
yes,
is Gavin?
he's 6.
He's 6. He's a cool guy. I mean, I mean, Sean, Sean Jr. is cool too, but I would say he saw me and it was like, hey, Black Panther. I was like, well, that's my favorite guy.
He called him Black Panther.
Like, it's very hard to top that. I have another. I have to fix that one. But my friend Amaka is on the call, and Kemzi is also my other favorite nephew. I have a lot of favorite nephews. So Tawana, tell us about Brody. How you? Because I remember at the service, your daughter was explaining the story about getting a dog or not getting a dog, and now you guys got the dog, Brody, afterward. And I think I have pictures somewhere, but you were also telling us how Brody sleeps like her. And I can see him. Hey, tell him he's gonna sing for us. I remember him singing too. He's gonna sing for us. Here we go. So I want to hear that story.
So she was looking to get a dog, and a friend of hers had puppies, and she just was like, I have to get this puppy. I saw him. He's beautiful. I have to get him. And I was like, well, you're gonna have to talk to him about the dog thing. I'm not getting into that. Like, y'all have y'all little connection. Your Fred and Ethel. That was their names for each other. This is Fred and she was Ethel. So you know how Fred and Ethel used to go at it. So I said, you're gonna have to talk to him about it. And she talked to him and he said, nope, you're not bringing that little crumb snatcher, all they do is bark and no. And but we knew that she was gonna wear him down. He had basically already had it. It was in the bag. And
you
then
just want to make it hard for her.
Yeah. After she passed, it was like it was a given he had to come. Vicky also knew the backstory that Brady was coming and she was gonna leave. Her intention was to leave Brady here all along because my daughter Shallon was leaving and going to college, and we were gonna be here by ourselves, and she was gonna make sure that we had something to do too.
Oh my God, that's so like such a foresight, and so caring. Because now I know, Brady takes a bit of your time and keeps you, probably last year kept you fit, kept you going. So are you the only? But I only see you taking care of Brady. I mean, are you getting any help?
Look here, I'm the help. If I'm not the main person, I'm the helper.
That's enough. That's good.
I will help out, but that's it. Like I told him, the dog barks all the doggone time. He got a personality like a person. He's crazy.
Yes. I'm laughing now because I have 3 boys and 6, and they met Brody. They had a playtime a little bit at the walk. And my eldest son didn't know dogs very much because we moved around a lot. So he didn't know dogs. So it always takes a step back. But the twins, they're younger, they just run to the dog. So they had a little blast there. But I tell them, and the mom also loves dogs. So she's like, yeah, I want to get a dog. I'm like, I don't have a problem. I'm just not taking care of the dog. You guys, I got Duke 4. And so if you were ready to take care of it, you can go for it. So I was like laughing. So then I was like, so that's how I started. So when I hear that, I was just cracking because I'm sure every family can relate to that. And recently I've been watching, when you say doggone, I'll be watching Bernie Mac's show again. So I've been going through that. But that's like the best sentiment. It's like, and then they want the dog, but it's a spirit. I think that it's special. I think that she, hopefully, I mean, from the video you're sending us and our kids love it. And, so I think that's a fun part. So I see a lot of pictures in the back, and I love to see. I know she probably put those pictures up, but I like to see maybe from what you send, if you can tell us who in the picture. I suppose it's family and friends, but we'd love to see some of those folks in those pictures and why they took you back, and maybe we'll see if Jazz remembers or recognizes them too.
That is her oldest sister in the middle, Paula.
Yeah.
In the middle up the top. And Brenda is in, can you point Brenda? Her other sister, Brenda, is in the group photo here.
Glasses.
Yeah,
Oh,
with the
wow.
glasses. And that's her nephew over there, Jamari. Family, this was who she was. She loved to get together with her family. She loved her family.
Yeah.
And then the
Beautiful.
kids, we got Gavin and all the babies over here.
So how many grandkids she had?
How many she have, Jazz? 3? Grandchildren.
2. I mean, Al has 1.
And
I
you-
have 1.
So Gavin is my favorite. No, I'm saying I know Gavin. The Gavin is the one I know.
Oh, Gavin and Carter.
Sweet.
And then she also has her stepchildren. She has plenty of them. It's a ton of them. I can't even count them all.
That's so beautiful. I love. I think, me being a patient, usually just live your life. You run around, you go fast, you want to get things done. And even when I get sick, I try to do things by myself. But I didn't know how much it was hard on other people. Even my mom or my wife or even my dad at some point. Sometimes we have to. I guess culturally, dads don't talk too much, but every now and then he will share his, fear and it's like, oh, you've been sick too long. What's going on? How do we lose Jazmine? I hope she's coming back. So I think for my side, I wanted to, since we have, we got a cameo and actually, I don't think I met him at the funeral, but I wanted to, maybe he can introduce himself and tell us a little bit. How you doing?
Oh, I'm Eric.
And congratulations also. We saw the pictures on your, was it 30 years?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. I just retired from the Boston Police Department, 30 years.
Bless you.
Like I tell my wife, I did 5 years carrying a rucksack in the military, running through the woods. I did 30 years running through the streets of Boston. And on my latter years, I'm going to take it easy.
You earned it. You earned it. So no running after the dogs or anything like that.
No. We ain't running nowhere, man. I learned that my running days were over about 10 years ago. I used to be able to catch everybody I chased, and after a while they start running away from me. I said, I'm all set.
That's a good sign. That's a good sign.
It's a good sign. It's a hurtful sign for your pride, but you gotta let it go, man.
Yeah. The transition must be hard because I think when that was the tough part when you get sick, when you're very active, and then you cannot do things anymore. I'm like, I used to do this, but then, I used to exercise a lot. But then next thing I get sick, I will exercise. I will go exercise in the morning, play football or soccer, play for an hour, and then I have to come home and nap the whole afternoon. And then I can picture my wife looking at me like, what is this guy doing? It's like being useless. And because that was the only time we had to with each other.
Yeah.
But I wanted, maybe, you mentioned a lot of time together, spending time together. So, what are some of the moments you miss now? I know, you guys used to do Sunday together. You did a bit of singing, so I'm sure you might miss that a little bit. But what are some of those moments that, first thing that come to your mind that you miss about her?
Well, we used to get into it all the time because she used to like to leave things around the house, I would pick up on. Because I'm not a nitpicker. I just
OCD
stuff she was done.
If we had a vote right now, I can see Vicky laughing. If we had a vote right now, I think you wouldn't win that one. So.
Yeah, she was my girl, though, man. She definitely. We had great conversations. We cooked some good meals, and she was just my support when I had to deal with this one here,
Jazmine, you missed the segment. We're talking about what he misses most about your mom. And he was talking about how your mom is OCD, more OCD than him.
Oh no.
Oh no, what?
that one.
No.
Charrisse would take a tissue, and she knew he was coming home. She would take a tissue and ball it up and just throw it on the floor. And we would all be sitting there watching TV. And he would come in. I don't give, he worked 16 hours. He would come in, dragging in, grumpy, and he would walk and he would go and take his coat off, but he would walk back past that paper like 2 or 3 times, and then he would just lose it. Like, oh, I'm the only one in the house. See that paper on the floor? Everybody sitting here. Got 3 women sitting on the couch. Got your feet up, and then, but she would just bust out laughing because she would do it purposely. She'd say, "Oh, he's coming. Like, let's do it. Mess up something. Just put dishes in the sink or anything. They would be clean dishes." She would just file the dishes up in the sink, and then we all sit on the couch, and she would just wait until he blow. Like, nobody can't wash these dishes. I gotta work 16 hours and come home and wash the dishes too. And we would all just sit there like, oh, we're gonna wash the dishes.
Oh man, that's such a life. That's beautiful. I'm sure that was great therapy, and I'm sure that moment you forget about her being sick. That's beautiful. I see, Jazmine. I did try. So I got a T-shirt. I also stole my wife's because I have 2 T-shirts because she's not here now. And then I think I put one in the dryer, and I exercised with one earlier in the week. So Jazmine knows I exercise, and I was wearing that T-shirt. So
Yes.
This is here. Yes. So I was gonna wear it today, and then I'm like, oh, this one is small. It was too small. But I know you guys are wearing a T-shirt, and then there's colors that mean something. And I'm still, I still have a bone to pick with Tawana because at the funeral she didn't tell us about the color, and then I showed up with my black jacket, and everybody was, the color was orange. I mean, I did see in the picture, but the color was supposed to be orange, and I just felt so left out. And the Dr. Lewis, we were talking about it. Like, I'm like, yeah, I should have got an orange tie or something. But so tell us about her colors and how much she loved that, and then I want to know a bit more about how much orange she made you have and of course green she made you have around the house and everything like that. Because I mean, orange is the other reason I'm picking orange is like it's a tough color to pull off, right? It's not. It's so like how do you make that happen? You really gotta know what you're doing. So I want to know a little bit more about that.
I don't know. She loved army fatigue, like leggings. I have bought her these army fatigue shorts. Like, you could get her anything army fatigue, and she was loving it. Like, so that's where the green comes from. It's like that army green.
Yeah.
And the burnt orange is it's more just that vibrant color, that pop of color, and it's specifically burnt orange, but that's hard to come by. So you just roll with the orange. It's hard to find a burnt orange to match. Yeah. So, but it was burnt orange and army green.
Special. And Tawana, you had to do that. You had to keep up.
Oh, yes. And so I've picked up on that now, and I often shop. I'm always like, oh, here goes some army green. Let me get this. Let me get that. It's the what is it called? The camouflage.
Yeah.
I like that too. So I got a couple of jackets and some leggings. I even got a face mask to match my jackets.
Oh, there you go. That's special.
And Brady has his. I kit Brady out in some camouflage too.
Wow.
I gotta share Brady here. Actually, I just found that video you sent us because I think people that say how special Brady is. Let's see. Can you guys see the video? That's some long leash too. Oh wait, yeah, that's when he ran away, right? It's great. And so this is like when my kids get tired or they get too much, just give them this some of these videos and they go in loops, and then they can keep up with him, which is good. Usually this is how we feel running after them. So I just thought I would share that.
They can babysit him anytime.
Huh?
They can babysit him anytime.
I'm ready. I gotta.
He only goes weeks at a time now.
No. Listen, we got. I mean, I want to try that. 1 week, that would be great. We're just gonna. I want to see who's gonna be doing the cleaning, but yeah, 1 week, no problem.
Oh, he'll let you know when he got to go out. He will let you know when he got to go out.
He's well trained.
Oh yeah, he's trained.
That's so. So Jazmine, the other day we so I think after after a while, I'm trying to see when we started. Oh yes, so during the hard work, this was so I used to talk to Tawana more and every day. So for when we started the hard work last year, and this is the American Heart Association event. So yeah, I invited you guys, and then we're like, yeah, let's do one. Let's walk in our honor in Atlanta. And I think in a week or maybe 2-3 weeks, you pull it off, and you had a T-shirt. So I think that's when we started talking. But fast forward, I wanted to, So maybe we start by what was that so important to you? What was it important for you to have to celebrate her on that day and organize that walk and then release the balloon into the trees?
Yes. So it before she passed, she wanted to do a heart walk. She never got the chance to. So my aunt told me about the one in Boston, but of course COVID happened. So I think it was basically the one in Atlanta. I looked it up. I had spoke to you and you were like, oh, I think there's one in Atlanta. So I looked it up and the date was October 3rd and she passed October 3rd of 2019. So I was like, I have to do something here. Like it's on the anniversary of her passing. And I had talked to you and you're like, go ahead, do it. You can pull it off. I'm like, it's in like 2 weeks. Like, how am I gonna pull this off? You're like, just do it. So you encouraged me and I contacted a few people and I was able to get T-shirts and I just shot out like a group text to close family and friends and everybody came together and showed up and we were able to do a heart walk around the track. Me and Shallon raced our final lap. We raced together. I know she was loving that. And we released balloons and they went straight into the trees. Like straight into the trees.
There's a wild field. There's like a wall field and then you go and release them into the trees.
I released them straight into the trees. In my head, I'm like, I know she's saying like, you are such a blonde. You did not see the trees blowing, the wind blowing, and you're going to direct them straight to the tree. But it also, we stayed, like the kids thought it was so funny and everybody tried to get the balloons out of the trees. So we stayed a lot longer than we would have if they would have been.
Just trying to get the balloons out of the trees.
Everybody tried to get, and they slowly, one by one, they started going up into the sky. I think everyone ended up getting out of the tree.
Oh my God.
I didn't know that part. Yeah. We stayed and talked until they were all gone.
Yeah. We had we had our walk likely a few days after. And I was like, Booba, whatever you do, don't
let them go in the tree.
I was like, don't let them go into the tree. So we had these our balloons going up in the tree, and I was like, please. And then I was like, I gotta go and tease her. Hey, Brody, I gotta go and tease her. But like that was that moment where I was like, yeah, this moment was for Jazmine, and then Tawana and Vicky and I forgot your friend's name. They were all there, and that was a special moment because I think I told the team that you were gonna be there, the medical team, and then they had to show up. They were also there. I think I have the pictures here too. The nurses, they had to come because it was bigger. It was bigger than me. And then this was we had to be careful, but this was a special moment. I'm trying to see why I can't find the picture. Yeah, we go. But we'll see if Tawana remembers them. There we go. So I might have to zoom in a little bit, but do you remember these three? I know they have masks on. Actually, I'm not sharing that yet. Okay, let me see. Sorry. There you go. All right, so it's not it. Do you see the picture?
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, so this is not the one I'm talking about. Okay, so I have to take you back. Okay, 1, 2, 3. So I guess you will see all the pictures. There we go. So you have those three ladies here.
Yeah.
Do you remember any of them? I think I don't know if you met Capri, but she's a phlebotomist. But this is Liz. Liz used to do the blood work, and then she was.
And Laura.
Yeah, and Lara is the MVP. She's our nurse. She's our nurse practitioner. She has a full team, and then on the team, I don't know if you got close to them, but like on the team, there's like 4 or 5 of other nurses, and they all have different personalities, different way of doing things. Mm-hmm. So they always try to find a way to keep people in line. And in my case, it's very hard because, it's like I'm different. So one of them is, there was Marie Claire is the one who tries. I'm like, Marie Claire, you cannot keep me in line. But I wonder who tried that with with Charrisse, like who was trying to keep her in line.
Well, she had a really bad experience with one of the Right Heart casts with Mary Claire. It was the end of the day. It was late, and sometimes that doesn't stop. It doesn't clot and stop bleeding. And I think it might have been the first one too.
Yeah.
And Mary Claire kind of rushed us out. She felt like she rushed us out, and it didn't give it enough time.
Yeah.
And we were on the phone with Dr. Lewis all night long. And when she came back, boy, she blasted Mary Claire after that. We didn't see Mary Claire much after that. I think Mary Claire was like, if her appointment is today, I'm taking today off. And I'm not shutting up because I'm not. But she loved Mary Claire, but she got on Mary Claire. Her and Frank.
Yeah.
She really loved Frank.
Yeah, Frank is special, and Frank was actually. I went to the funeral, and Frank brought me back. So my wife dropped me, and Frank brought me back. So I was there with Frank and Lara, and then Dr. Lewis.
Dr. Lewis.
Yeah.
And Dr. Mandip.
Mandip.
Yes.
Yeah, Mandip is he's like the medical director, but he still likes to do his work. And he's he's one of the guys behind the HeartMate 3. So he's but I think they get it, they have the same energy. So because this is a doctor you will see walk with a gold chain, no ties, walking around, and sometimes he'll come talk to you like nobody, so
that was funny. It was funny to me and her, and it was like, this is the medical doctor, but they played around and talked like they were just old friends from the first meeting. Yeah,
he's a special guy. I remember I went to a conference this was in New Orleans. It was about a pump and stuff. So Abbott makes the pump. So they were displaying the pump and making a lot of, making a lot of, I guess, buzz about it. So he comes in and he talks to another patient. We had the LVAD, and it's like, do you know this is one of the worst pump out there? And then he was hiding his badge. And then the poor woman's daughter was there. She got out. She's like, this is the pump that saved my mom's life. Everybody's like, you don't know this guy? And he's like, showed his badge. And it's like, that was the day he was presenting the results, the 2-year result of the pump, because it was like a good success story. But then there was a kind of pranks he did. And with me, I didn't know he attended to me because he was there the night I went under. So like, I didn't know he was there until the pictures. But yeah, we caught up and we talk a lot. And then, so every time I say I want to do something, he's like, yeah, go ahead, go do it. It's like, I say I want to run. He's like, yeah, for sure. Nobody else wants to say that, but he's like, yeah, do it. Because he wants to stress the limit and stuff. And then, but then he also made a joke about his kids said they want Mercedes Benz or they want a big cars or stuff like that. So he's like, yeah, go get it. So it's like, it's up to you. So I'm like, okay, that's what you're doing. And then we go back and forth sometimes. But like, I think what I like about that team is the personal connection that we end up having. And I think that was even more important because like now with me, things have been okay, but like we talk about, it's more of the mental part, the support and stuff. And then they were very helpful in that. And they also always made me understand how important the family was or the support. Like, they're like, oh, you very like you have the support. And, I think made me more and more grateful about it. But I wanted to, we talked about a lot of the good stuff, but what was like, in the bad days, she was quiet, and I think I can relate to that too. But what are some of the other challenges that you had to deal with, and like, beside her being feisty, actually not about her, but like, what are some of the thinking or some of the fear you were going through, having to look out for somebody that, you care and you love that was being sick? How is that for you, like on a day-to-day basis?
I know for me, I would call her every day because I was like, wanted to know what her mood was each day. And so, especially being in Georgia and her being in Boston. So when I know her life in Georgia she was moving and shaking, like I would call her like, oh, can you watch Gavin? Like, I'm going to bingo. I'm at the store. Me and so are going here. I'm like, what happened to the grandmothers that are at home? Like, do those exist anymore? But she was used to that lifestyle. So being in Boston, she didn't have the same resources that was available to her in Georgia, but she made do. But Atlanta and Boston are two totally.
Yeah, we know.
So I would check up on her often. And sometimes I know I felt like it was overkill. I don't know if my Aunt Tawana knew, she like, what are you doing on the phone with Jazz? I would call her morning, afternoon, and at night.
But she expected those phone calls and she looked forward to them. And if you didn't call, she would be like, oh, I don't know what's going on with Jazz, but she didn't even call me this morning. So
I would literally, I told her, like, I know I'm probably harassing your life, but it was for me to know, even if she was having a bad day, I just had to know and be able to talk to her and try to encourage her and make her feel better, like give her updates on, and she would get on me like, have you been over to my house? Have you checked what's going on? Have you checked on the dog? I'm like, well, I gotta check on my own.
Yeah, so like how was, because if you have to call somebody 3 times a day, that's what, 3 hours at least, especially if you get going.
Yeah, we would stay on the phone sometimes.
So how much time did you have for yourself left? This is
I would talk in. I'm a multitasker.
There's no such thing. There's no such thing. I mean, we have a policeman here will tell you that's very risky too.
I was bathing Gavin while I had her on speakerphone.
Poor Gavin.
I would multitask. Sometimes I'd be at work and have my little earpiece in.
No, you gotta pay them back because I'm sure you were not that.
No, they owe me.
So Tawana, how was that for you? Like, what did you do with? I know we were talking about self-care earlier. You were talking about, I think this was offline when we started. You were saying that she will force you to go do your mani pedi and things like that. You guys get my lingo, mani pedi?
Yeah, there would be times when you just it is it's a lot, and for the caregivers too. So she would always be like, come on, let's go get our feet done, or we're gonna go. I found this place that she couldn't do the massages, but she found a Chinese place that used to do your feet and you could sit up in a chair and they would massage you the best they could sitting in the chair. So she would, come on, let's go, we're going over here to do that. And there were a couple, I can probably count maybe on my fingers the times that we saw her, not in a good place or feeling down. But it didn't take long for her to, to say, like, she would say to herself, like, I need to be grateful I'm here. You know what I mean? I'm here. And then we would get online and look for an airfare for her to head it down to Georgia. And we would convince Lara and them that it's time, she needs a visit, that she needed a break. I remember I had to go for work to Melbourne, Florida for 2 weeks. And when I got the assignment, she was like, I'm going. And I was like, really? You gonna check? She's like, I don't know if I'm gonna tell them or not. I'm like, yeah, you gotta tell them.
Yeah.
So she called Lara. Lara made it happen. She found a place for her to get her INR checked and everything. So she flew to Georgia and rented a car and drove to Melbourne, Florida by herself. She didn't tell Lara that. Drove to Melbourne, Florida by herself. She stayed for a week. And then there was this party in Georgia on Friday or Saturday she wanted to go to. So she got up at the crack of dawn on Friday morning and drove back to Atlanta. She partied and did what she wanted to do over the weekend, and she drove back to Florida on Monday.
That's how living is done.
I have to apologize. I have to get ready to go, but I'm sitting here laughing because y'all sound like my family talking about me.
Yeah. Sean, we're pushing the boundaries. I think I tell the doctors is we're moving science, you know, we're causing science to progress. And this is as much as it's tough for them, I think when they see the result, they want to brag about it. So
I think once you get your LVAD though, you feel like there's nothing that you got a second chance at life. So you're gonna do everything possible. You're gonna do it.
yeah, that's amazing. So Sean, Sean is gonna be talking to us in June 19. I think I got it right. So we'll share that communication soon. And Sean, I wanna have the boy and the daughter. I'm the daughter.
Be careful what you ask for.
Yeah, no, we might have 2 segments, but he's my guy now, you know. And I wanna, you know, I wanna recruit him as a model for our brand. So that's it.
He'll love that. He'll love
Thank
that.
you so much. Yeah.
But I have to go. Daddy duties call. I gotta go. Taxi.
Don't put the bar too high. I don't want to be super dad like you guys.
You guys have a good one. Be blessed.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
So how was you mentioned that, you know, Charrisse will ask, you know, will help you, will take you do your, you know, massages and things like that. But what about my main man? Did he get any care? Did he get any beside the food? Beside the cooking, what else did he get? Like, did he get the massages too?
Yeah, I take care of that.
You take care of.
He takes care of that.
I see a chiropractor and I do a massage every month.
Yeah, once a month.
At least twice.
Yeah. That's the spirit.
One thing about her, she truly lived life this time around. She did, and I felt like we were like the safe haven because after she go down to Georgia and party like crazy, she come here for a whole week. A whole week. And I'm just up until her passing, I was fussing with her because she had went out. Her cousin came to town. They grilled. They had went out, and she was out most of the night. And she came in, and then she was sleeping. And then I had left, and I had to go sing that day. And I came back, and she was sitting down in the sitting room, and she was saying her head was hurting. I said, your head's hurting because you're always running. You got to slow down. I don't know why you're trying to do everything all at once, Ethel. She said, no, Eric, for real, my head's hurting. I said, no, it's hurting because you hard head. That's why your head's hurting. And then things kind of de-escalated and went downhill from there, you know.
Yeah, the margin, the margin is very small. Like, you know, when like you literally living on the edge, but then, you know, it's like when you're cycling and you go against, you know, a cliff or something, you just gotta keep focused. Because, you know, when the ride ends, at least you'll have enjoyed it. So, and it's one of those things you don't see coming. It's like a headache, right? Like it's a small knock. For somebody that was looking healthy, technically, you know, it's very hard. But I think it was, you know, must have been a shock though, like the whole ordeal, like, you know, going to the hospital and stuff. So, maybe if you guys can take us back to those, you know, those few days and how that was, how that moment unfolded and how you reacted with it and how we, you know, we'll get to how you got to finding solace after, but maybe take us back to that difficult moment.
Well, I'll start it. It was that morning, like I said, I went to church and I sang, and when I came back, she was still sitting in the sitting room. She was saying her head was hurting. And I started fussing at her about, you know, she's doing too much. She got to slow down. She's doing too much. And then I said, why don't you go lay down? So she came upstairs. And then when she came upstairs, she called Tawana on her phone and said, come upstairs. And then she came upstairs and she can tell you from there.
Yeah. I thought it was a typical one. We were going to have one of our typical emergency room visits. She said her head was hurting. She called the team. They told her to come in. I called Jazz and Brenda. Hey, you know, going down to the emergency room. She got a headache, but I'll call you when we get down there. And I'm sure we'll have some funny shenanigans to share because we always had some crazy emergency room shenanigans going on. And, but when she came downstairs, I was like, this is different. I said to Eric, I don't think I should drive her. I'm going to call the ambulance. And they came and they took her and I got ready and pulled up all our stuff because we were gonna need our laptops so that we could watch movies tonight, and we were gonna do all of our crazy stuff. I had to get our snacks together and get everything together, and I went down. And when I got there, one of the doctors was there. I forget his name. He has an accent, like I don't know if it's an Irish accent or.
Yeah, I think it was probably Dr. Grok. Is he shorter guy?
Yes.
Yeah.
And he was there, and I was walking and I could see her, and I'm going in the room, and I instantly go in the room fussing at her, like, what are you doing? You got your stuff all open up, like I can see everything, like pull your sheet up or whatever. And she wasn't really talking back to me like she normally would. And when he came to me and he just was like, are you here by yourself? And I didn't like that. And then when he told me that she had she had some bleeding on her brain, it was like a shock to me because I didn't understand. Like, she didn't tell me anything about that. And I called Jazz, and we started talking, like, did she tell you she bumped her head or anything? And we didn't, weren't getting any answers from that. And I think she may have told them that she bumped her head, but she never told us. And another one of her friends that she was talking to, when we eventually spoke to them, she did mention that she had bumped her head at some point.
Yeah, probably didn't think much of it either,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so then Jazmine flew up that next day, that Monday. That was a Sunday, and Jazz flew up on Monday. And Jazz, you can take it from there.
So when I know from it was very strange, because how it happened when I was in Atlanta, when before my aunt called me, my mom called me, but my phone, I could not hear her. I was out eating. So I told her, I was like, Mom, I was checking, waiting for the check. Like, when I leave the restaurant, I'll call you right back. And before I could even leave the restaurant, my aunt called me like, oh, your mom has a headache. We're taking we're going to go to the hospital. Then she called me back and said, she went in the ambulance. So at that point, I knew it was serious. But before I could leave downtown and get home, it was like, she has bleeding on the brain. So for me, it was like, what in the world? Like, this is not happening.
Yeah.
This is not real. Like, what? But I had to like think on my toes. So it was like literally, I think I got a standby flight. And by the time I get to the airport, they're like, we have to do, what was it? A stent or something.
Yeah, I forgot the procedure, but they have to go clot the blood.
Yeah, it's like a stent. And in my head, I'm like, I'm waiting for a flight. Like, you guys want me to make a decision right now? Like, can I get 5 minutes? Like, can I process this right now? And so of course I called my aunt, and we agreed to let them do that, because of course we don't want her to be in any additional pain than what she may have already been in. And so everything from there really just it was like a snowball effect, one thing after another. By the time I get to Boston, they needed to do another surgery. I was just like, honestly, I really can't remember. I just know everything happened. It happened so quick. It was like one thing after another. Like, before you could even wrap your brain around one thing, it was like, oh, we have to do another thing. Like, do we have your approval? And I'm like, wait a minute. Wait, I need a minute. Like, I need 1 minute. But I know, I understand the time sensitive with science and, things of the body, but it was just like, this is my mom, and I need to process this. Like, as much as I just want to say, yeah, because you're the doctor, at the same time, I need to process this in my mind.
It's heavy decisions, and yeah, I cannot imagine how that decision is making. And usually something we notice is that it's tough on caregivers at that moment or caretakers at that moment because, you know, overwhelming. We don't know the science, and doctors don't talk to you like in English. You know,
Right.
they all these other things, and it's a lot to process. And obviously, they want to do the legalities. And one thing we've been looking at is, you know, how to advocate, how to support, how to bring some advocacy around that moment, because it's just, I mean, yeah, you have to fly, you have to move around, and it's never the same thing. So I don't know how you guys move past that moment. It's like, and yeah, so thanks for sharing that moment. I think it's always hard to transition from a moment like that, but I remember Eric singing at the funeral, and I think that was a special moment. And maybe Eric can tell us her favorite song, and like, and or maybe the song that you used to sing for her.
Or sing together.
Oh yeah, you guys can sing together. That's super special. There we go.
We love to sing, so.
All right, so this is a special moment we're gonna have live. So Eric, I guess you can lead, and then Vicky, I know you've been quiet. Don't shake your head. You can join in. She's like, don't. So yeah, I think that will be a good moment to transition from, and then maybe we'll see how Zoom can accommodate that. But yeah, I love to hear a tune or two, and I think that will help us. You know, maybe she will join us too during those conversations. that rendition. So yeah, take it, Eric.
I've had some good days. I've had some hills to climb. I've had some weary days and some sleepless nights. But when I look around and I think things over, all of my good days outweigh my bad days. I won't complain. Sometimes the clouds hang low and I can hardly see the road. So I asked the question, Lord, why so much pain? But he knows what's best for me. Even though my weary eyes, they cannot see. But I'll just say, thank you, Lord. I won't complain. 'Cause God, he's been good to me. He's been good to me. More than this old world could ever be. God, he's been good to me. He dried all of my tears away. And then he turned my midnights into day. So I'll just say, thank you, Lord. I won't complain.
Woo!
That was special. Thank you. Thank you, Eric. Now your turn, Jazmine.
No, sir.
Oh, wow. Thank you so much. I think last time I talked to Jazmine, you were telling me how she visited you, and it was in the dream, and it wasn't a sad dream this time. When did that shift happen, and then when did you start like kind of feeling less sad and less yeah, like, you know, a bit less yeah, like when did it not get lighter, but like when did you feel like you were coping better, and when did the positivity start?
So she always, whenever she the first time she visited me in a dream, I was actually on a trip to Florida, and she's from Orlando. Now that I'm sitting here talking about this, I'm putting it together, but she's from Orlando. So we took a trip for my friend's birthday. And one of my friends, LaShawn, is on the call. She was there with me, and she actually visited me in the dream, but she never speaks to me. But she's always there, and she looks beautiful. Like, she's always looking healthy and beautiful. So I know she's okay. But the last one, we were just driving in a car, and I can't repeat exactly what I was saying, but I know I was talking to her. And she was I was sitting behind her. She was in the passenger seat, and I could see like the side profile of her face, but she just never speaks to me, but she always looks good. You know, she looks good and happy. She's never, so I know at first I was like, when is she going to visit? I was like, waiting, like, come on, like, I need you to, I don't care if you whisper in my ear at this point, like, I need something. So it wasn't until that was February 2020. That was the first dream. And so now ever so often she visits me, but she has yet to say anything. So but it puts me in a good space, because it lets me know that she's not in any pain.
Yeah.
So
if she were to speak to you, what do you think? What would you like her to speak on or to talk about?
she could tell me personally, like, I'm good. Stop worrying. Stop crying. Like,
You worry about her a lot?
I just I just wonder sometimes. I know if I made the right decision to do the things in the way that everything happened. So I just, I always think like, well, maybe if I would have just waited, even though to me, it was like these signs of dementia when we were in the hospital, but it was like she knew who I was. So if I would have just waited before I let them do that final surgery.
Where's Gavin? Let's get Gavin next to you.
Yeah, he's asleep.
Wake him up.
You're
Wow.
not gonna get me. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but yeah. I mean, that's a thought that crosses my mind, where it's like, if I would have just even though the doctors are saying one thing, she was still able to, if she was in and out, but she was able to communicate, and she knew. I don't know. I just feel like, what if I would have just waited a little bit, even though they were pushing for it? Like, if I would have just waited, and then on top of that, I left to go get Gavin to bring him back, and that's when they called me to do that final surgery. So when I came back, she wasn't even like responsive or anything. So or maybe if I would have stayed for that instead of leaving, but I was like, oh, I got to get my baby. I want him to be able to see her, not knowing that when I leave, they're going to call me on the phone and say, well, it took a turn for the worse. Like, what do you want to do? We need to do this. We need to do this now. So
do you talk to, I see Tawana wanted to say something.
Oh no, I'm sorry. I was just saying that I know that, we had several conversations, and I know she had, conversations with you too. So you have to remember those things that she told you. And I think for me, I felt comfortable with you with every decision you made. I know from my conversations with her that you knew clear. I mean, it was written down mostly.
Yeah.
It was very clear on her wishes. So for my prayer for you is that you never question what you did, because I think that she was very, very clear on all things and you followed everything to the T. exactly of what she had said. So that's my prayer for you, is that you that you made the decisions as her wishes would have stated.
Yeah. Thank you.
All of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I also have a little, last night, I talked to Jazz earlier this morning. Last night, I had Shayla, she's on here. I had her children last night, and the baby was with me. We slept in here last night with the baby, and I got up in the middle of the night to check on MJ, and I couldn't find the baby's binky. I could not find this binky anywhere. I pulled all the covers back. I'm looking for the binky, can't find the binky. MJ's in here. We're on the floor with the light. We're all take the pillows, everything off the bed. Can't find the binky. We go downstairs. I come back upstairs. I'm like, I gotta find this binky. I walk into this room, and that binky is laying in the middle of the bed. That binky was not in this bed. We looked everywhere. I was in the room. I'm telling Eric, it's in the baby's bassinet. It got to be in the carrier. It has to be there because it's nowhere else. And when I walked back in this room and that binky was on the bed, I said, Charrisse, if you hid that binky, you better stop playing with me. But if you help me find the binky, then thank you very much for helping me find it, because I could not find that binky anywhere. But we did find it when I came back downstairs with the binky, and even MJ was like, God, where did you find the binky? We couldn't find it. I said, well, MJ, the binky was right there in our face. And
Oh my God. Yeah. She said, I'll blame Body. I'll blame Body, but I think it's, she has something to do with it. So I think, thanks so much. This is, it's not easy. And like, there's a lot of part, I think, of a life of a patient that I can relate to. But there's like a lot of these I cannot, I cannot even comprehend. So thanks for sharing. And I think from my side, I'll probably just say that, somehow, you already have a big family, you have friends, and, I also consider myself part of this family, and, maybe you'll try to get rid of me, but we'll still be around here. So I appreciate that. But I think, I want to say that, each of you individually and, collectively, you guys are not alone, and, you can always reach out, and even if it's just to talk and stuff. And funny enough, I have to pick on Jazmine, but we were laughing, and, you can see she's probably like a mom too, like trying to be strong and hold on emotions.
Yes.
I was telling her to cry and let Gavin say that, like let the son say it, because I had one experience here where Desiree was crying one day, and then my son saw that, and he was emotional the whole day. And this was during COVID, so I was like, fine, you don't even have to do school today. But then he couldn't talk to me, and then he waited for his grandfather to show up. And as soon as the grandfather showed up, he's like, oh, mommy was sad the whole day. I'm like, this little punk, he couldn't talk to me. And then he was like, yeah, but daddy's never sad. Daddy never cried. And I remember, I cried in front of him, but he was a kid, and, he probably forgot a bunch of those moments. But it's important that, the kids see those emotions. And I think also it helps with the release. So I was picking on Jazmine for that. But now, you're crying on the recording.
On Zoom. Thanks,
on Zoom. It's recorded, and I'm not going to edit it. So that's a good, that's her doing her thing on you. So thanks for that special moment.
I just want to share that if Gavin was here, he would probably laugh, because when I did cry in front of him, he started laughing. I'm like, hey, I'm being serious right now. Like,
he doesn't know you.
It's just funny. It's funny to me, mommy. I'm sorry. Are you okay? Like,
yeah, he doesn't know. You have to tell him. Or
so I'm like, I'm sad here. Hello.
It's special. I had I think the big fight in our house, even not fight, but tense moment where, when I really looked bad or I was out of it, and I would say, be like, I'm fine. And, and sometimes I didn't know the word. It wasn't because I didn't want to share, but it was just hard to articulate. So like I had to grow up in that. And even with the kids too, because you can see kids will pick up, I don't know, somehow they come up with those habits, or they pick up those habits. And I'm like, I cannot have, gotta break the cycle at some point. But yeah, it's a special moment, and I think you guys will look back, and Gavin, you'll have to explain to Gavin a lot. But I think this moment, I'd love to hear from everybody else. So probably start with Vicky. I know you've been hiding and putting yourself on mute, but we need to hear from you, and I'll move on to Lashawn. I cannot say it properly, but yeah, I will move on to everybody else on the group. So Vicky, so maybe you can tell us what was your relationship and how you're connected to Charrisse, and how what was what does she like? What has been how did she touch you? How did she touch you, and how you remembering her?
Okay. There's a lot of onions in the room, guys. So get your tissue. I guess I lived in Maryland, and my brother came to visit when I lived in Maryland, and he brought this girl with him, and her name was Paula. Paula was Charrisse's oldest sister. About a year later, when I moved back home, Paula and I became very good friends, and we saw each other on a daily basis, which in turn, I became closer to everyone in our family, and that included Charrisse. And after, I think her last son, Darius, was born, Charrisse decided she would babysit. So she became my son's babysitter. So I saw her then every day on a constant basis. And as he grew, he was just like one of her kids. So he was right there with Jazz and Alan and Darius, and it was daily. And if I wasn't there, he was there, either way. So I've been around, and I guess like a family member forever, because they would even take me to Florida to their family reunions. It was just anywhere I could go that they went. And the joke was, I looked more like Brenda and Charrisse than Paula did. So people would say, you guys sisters? And Paula would get mad because she's like, no, I'm the sister. She's the outside. But that was our joke. And over the years, we definitely became close. I was really glad when Charrisse moved back here. Not so happy for the reason, but the healthcare was better. I was glad she made it back here. It was definitely a privilege to be that close to someone who could have the outlook that she had and the joy she still felt, even with the bad days. But she was like, okay, this is what I was dealt. And I don't agree with how it all happened, but this is what I was dealt. This is what I'm going to do with it. One of the things that I used to complain about most was her knack of going into TJ Maxx and staying 3 hours. I just am not that person. We would go shopping, and she had to look at every item in the store. Like physically, she had to touch it. She had maybe $200 worth of items in the cart at the end. And then she'd sit and go through what she would want, and she might have left with one item, sometimes more. But that was her retail therapy, and that's what she wanted to do. So we got to the point where I would just say, Charrisse, stay, do whatever you got to do. I'm just sitting over there. I'm not rushing you. Like, 'cause I never wanted her to feel like she was a burden doing it, but I just couldn't do it. I would like literally lose my mind. I couldn't do it anymore. And there were times when we would both have to drive, because I had an accident from work. So we would both have to drive the carts through the store. So her and I, we would spend time in Target, and Target has narrow aisles. So we're driving to the carts. We're all over the place. And that became our fun, but not on purpose, but we were really shopping. Up until, I mean, I knew she had times when she felt bad, but all the way up until the day where things happened, because I actually spoke with her before she went to lay down. And that was before the call. Like she conversed with me, then she sat down, then Eric came in, and then things just kept transpiring. But when I bought stuff for my house, Charrisse was like, oh, don't leave it in the car, let's go. And I'm like, no, Charrisse, you can't. She's like, get out the way, open the door. She would carry my stuff. She would help me like she always did. Like plants, whatever. She had the strength. I remember one of the cookouts at your house, Tawana, she started jumping rope, and the day everything happened, she gave me little messages for people that I didn't realize were messages till later. And she was talking about, she was going to go here. She was going to leave the dog with Tawana. She was going to move back to Atlanta. And she said, I'm just getting ready to live. And because I'm probably more spiritual than most, it's like, did she realize she was getting ready to live? Because this is what we live for, this end result. It's like an end to us, but a beginning for others, depending on what religion you belong to. And I don't know. I watched it all. It seemed like a dream. Jazmine, you did a superb job, superb. There's nothing more. You didn't have any more to work with, honey. You did like everything you could. Tawana, I watched everyone from sort of like a pastoral care position, because I did so much bereavement and so much in the church that I didn't get to feel everything until well after. And that's when it hits me. And like, it still hits me now. And the other day, it's just like, man, Charrisse, where are you? I want to go to Florida. And I know if she was here, that was just yesterday. If she was here, I could say, hey, we're going to Florida. And she'll say, where? And I could say it, and it wasn't going to be an issue. We would work out the dates and we would go. I had to go through like 5 people to get a viable person to go with me this time. And it's just things like that it just missed, because you knew who she was, and she was who she was. Yeah. And you knew exactly where everything fit, I was considered the plain one. So if they were doing certain things, she's like, well, I'll tell her about it. She didn't care if I knew or I didn't know. She just knew where I fit in and where I didn't. And that was fine. It worked with me and it worked for her. Yeah. But yeah, I miss her dearly. But Jazmine, you are looking more like her every day. Which is really a blessing. It really is. It is, because look back at some of her other pictures when she was closer to your age. You'll see it,
Oh yeah, no, I see those.
Yeah, you'll see it. You'll see it. That's who you look like to me. But yeah, she was a big presence because she had a big spirit. We could go for arguments, and all you have to do is just leave her alone for a little while. She'll forgive you. And then you can find that within a day or two, you're laughing about it. And then there's other times you could really be mad at one another and it turned into such a joke that it made it funny, and then you can't do anything but pick. But she had a personality like no other, and my granddaughter was maybe 4 months old when she passed. And that's one of my biggest regrets. I know for a fact, Jazmine would have been just so in love with Charrisse and her personality and her spoiling her. Charrisse would have just went and took the baby by now. She would have just went to that house, took the baby, and brought her home. So yeah, I'm gonna always miss her, always.
Look, she spoiled her. Before she was even born, she was spoiling her.
She had the baby laughing out loud. We were like, you didn't make noise for us. Charrisse had her laughing out loud for hours. And then she brought her so much before she was born that I had to say, Charrisse, don't buy another thing. Really, just stop. But she was the girl. She was the girl that came. And in both families, there was no brand new baby girl. So she would have gotten it all. But personality-wise, even now, my son is almost 30. He has Charrisse's personality. Mm-hmm. I'm really the dry one. He has her personality because he was with her for so long, and so often. But yeah, I believe the dream you have, Jazz, is really what it is. I believe she's telling you I'm okay.
Yeah.
I'm okay. Of course, she'd always love to be able to see you and be there with the kids and the rest of that, but she's good. She's good. She's at peace with everything, and she's good. I was glad to hear your dream. Thanks for sharing it. I'm done.
Thanks. Thanks so much.
And I have a pedicure at 4.
Yeah, you go.
So
there you go.
If
You
I
gotta
cut
get
off,
going.
forgive me, because I'm loving this right now. But if I cut off, that's why.
No, no worries. I think I always like when I say these calls, usually, you want to have 1 hour. I'm like, there's no way it's gonna be 1 hour. And then now we pass time in a few minutes, but can jump on, jump off. And but thanks so much for sharing this. This is I think as a patient and as people in general, because eventually I think everybody gets sick and something happened, but this is the essence of what life is about, and how you touch people, how you bring people together, and I think she's like, to me, she's like that role model, that example, that patient, and that mother and that grandmother eventually, you know, and especially to girls, like I have 3 boys, and I'm like, I only have 1 sister. I'm not looking to have a daughter, because I tell people if I had a daughter, I'll be the worst. I just won't be good. I just won't be good. But like I have a lot of nieces, and I love supporting them. So I'm trying to see, you know, who to go to for notes. So I'll come to you guys, and hopefully you'll be less plain by then. And I'll ask you what will what will have Charrisse said or done or buy. You know, maybe you guys can go shopping. So yeah, that was special. Thank you so much. I want to check. Maybe see if Joyce wants to say something. Give us a few words. My mother-in-law is Joyce, so that's a special name in our house.
Hi, can you
Hi,
hear
how are you?
me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. So I am Jasmine's great aunt. And I made Charrisse my niece.
There you go.
So Charrisse, what I remember most about her is that she loved to have fun. So we would party. We would go out, we would go to the clubs, and her personality had a way of bringing everybody to our table. So I would go on the dance floor and I would come back and I would be like, where do all these people come from? Why are they surrounding our table? So it would mostly be Charrisse's personality. So for the rest of the night, no one had to buy any drinks,
There you
or
go.
no one had to wait for anybody to come and ask us to dance. It was just like, she always had a crowd,
Special.
you know, beautiful personality. And she just didn't mind. She would get up on the dance floor.
Yeah.
And it was that smile, that laugh. She had this smile and this laugh that was very contagious, you know. So even if you was in a bad mood, if you go around Charrisse, you would be in a good mood.
Oh my God.
So, you know, we just always bumped shoulders, had fun, told jokes. You know, she was just a great person to be around, you know, always cheerful.
We'll have to come for some. Jazmine, you know where to go for more stories, because I feel like there's a lot of stories that can be.
Yes,
that
and
just-
Jazmine,
Yes,
Jazmine,
yes.
the dreams that you talked about,
Uh-huh.
I also want to thank you for sharing them. And I just want to say, I was told that when someone passes away, that they can't speak to you. So my mom comes to me in the dream. I think I told Tawana, from time to time, I would see her, but she would never speak. But she would be smiling. She would be happy.
Right. Yeah.
It's like I could hear things in her thoughts. I could hear her thoughts, but I never, ever, she never spoke to me.
Yeah.
And the
That's how,
same with Minnie and, you know, and Gloria. They never spoke to me, but I could hear their thoughts. I would see
you know
them.
what they're saying to you.
Yes, and I knew that they were happy, but there was never, ever a word. I've never heard a word from any of them. So just want to share that with you, okay? So that's pretty normal. But I was told that that's how it's supposed to be.
It's interesting you say that, because I had I would say a preacher that talked about how we can hear the spirit. Like, you know, you cannot record it. You cannot. So now that you're saying it is like that, you know, you can feel the spirit, but you can't hear it. So that's interesting, and I'm sure hopefully that's helpful to Jazz.
It is.
I hope so.
Expectations are important, so now you know you shouldn't expect a voice, but
Yeah.
I'm sure you can still get the message. Hi Sheila, we see you. And we expect you.
Hi.
How you doing? So
I'm good.
where's the baby now?
Right now, my aunt is holding him. I'm still not feeling that great. So I'm kind of laying down.
What's going from the? I guess you gotta give me the backstory. Why you're not feeling great?
Oh, I just delivered a week ago.
Wow.
My second child, and I've been having, I guess, some complications since then. I lost a lot of blood. So I'm just not feeling well, just tired.
Just tired. Well, you deserve it. You deserve a break too. So it's what I missed a bit. Is it a boy or girl?
It's a boy.
And the first kid.
So no, this is our second. And our first was another boy. And
How old is he?
He's 3. He'll be 4 on April 5th.
Oh, right around the corner.
Yep.
So there's a party, right? You can't be sick for that party.
I know. I have to get it together.
So what's their name? The two the
So the first one, he's a junior. His name is Rajan Petty Jr., but we call him MJ. And the second one, his name is Raja.
Raja. Oh, that's a cool name. I like it. I hope you start feeling
From
better.
the Lion King.
Oh yeah.
Raja from the Lion King.
I don't that a story?
It's well, that's not where I got it, but
that's the story we gotta tell him.
It's Indian for king.
Yeah.
And it's also the tiger in Aladdin.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. So are you gonna be, he's a boy and he's gonna start trying to be a king from like 2 years old, and you name him a king. I'm just saying that because we're suffering right now. We don't know if it's because of our personalities or the name we give them. The name's like a revolutionary name. These kids don't listen. So I'm just saying, are you sure about the name King? Because it's gonna.
Well, his middle name is Amari, which means noble and humble one. So we basically wanted him to be a humble and noble king.
God bless you. I pray for you because it's gonna get there. It's gonna get there, but it's gonna be a fun road. So I hope you're ready. So yeah, I would like to a little bit hear about your experience with Miss Charrisse, and then and maybe project on how should have been with the kids, with the little two boys. I know 3 is a busy age, and she probably could have kept up with them, but I love to hear from you on what you think of that, and how you remember her and who she was to you if you met her.
So she was actually in the room when MJ was born. We had a little entourage in the room, so I'm pretty sure if Jazmine was here, she would have been in the room too. But
by the way, if you wanna, sorry to cut you, if you wanna grab the baby or he wants to come to you, feel free. We don't mind. We love babies on our videos. So
oh no, my grandma and my aunt are in there, and they are the baby whisperers. Our family is a village, and it's just they got this.
That's beautiful. I love it.
So Jazmine and I are sisters. We have the same dad, and I lost my mom when I was 5. So she's always been another mother to me. I know when my mom was alive, they did not get along in the beginning, but they began to get along. I don't know what happened to change that, but they started to get along, and from what I know, started to even watch the kids together, babysit each other's kids. Like I said, our family is just one big village, and so we used to always be at our grandparents together. I remember being a teenager and always wanting to be at her house because she was such a cool and hip mom. Very strict and meant business, played no games, but she was just everywhere we went. She told everybody that I was her daughter. So it felt really good because, I had my grandma, I had my aunts and stuff, but to have someone acknowledge you as their daughter when you don't have your mom, it just felt different. It's a really good feeling. So I remember when Jazmine went to college, they included me in everything. I remember driving back and forth, Florida, Georgia, all the time. I remember when me and Jazmine went to Atlanta for her to check out college, and I remember when Charrisse wanted to move to Georgia. I moved to Georgia not too long after that. And my living situation didn't exactly work out. And I called her crying, like, I don't know what I'm going to do. And, you know, she basically said, if you don't get your A over here and bring all your stuff with you. And I was kind of just like, okay. I moved in with her. She took me in without any hesitation. And that's just the kind of person that she was. Oh, sorry. In his diaper bag. Sorry.
They need to step it out. They need to step out.
So without hesitation, moved in, and she was on me like any parent would be. You need to do this, you need to do that, you need to get a job. When it came to choices in people I dated, always, oh no, things that I did, it, and her intuition and her judgment was never wrong. I would get down about things. I would get down about my mom all the time. And she'd be like, if you don't live your life, she knows that you're doing your best. You know, that was always her thing. And so even now with her not being here, it's always like, if you don't snap out of it and live your life, just live it. That's what I always think. A week ago when I went to deliver, I just kept thinking, if it wasn't for COVID, I would have everybody here with me.
Yeah.
And I started to get emotional because I'm like, she wouldn't be here, but she's in here. And that's never going to change. For me, having her here definitely shaped a lot in my life. And I will say she had a huge impact. I had postpartum when MJ was born. And of course, my husband had only been in this country for a couple months. She could get my husband, he's from Jamaica. And I lived in Jamaica and we got married in Jamaica. And then
You guys
I decided
the accent coming out?
Going through.
When they say Jamaica, did you hear that?
I'm like a sponge. I mean, it just depends on where I am.
Okay, I like it.
It's a beautiful place. But she could get him to do things that I, as his wife, could not. And I never understood it, but I always knew when we would have stuff going on, I didn't even have to tell her. She just knew. And she would go line him all the way up, get him together. MJ would be crying and I would just start crying because as a first-time mom having postpartum, she would come and she would hold him in the palm of her hand and he would just stop crying. She was the dog whisperer, but she was also the baby whisperer.
Just similar.
She just,
but
she
it
made
seems like
life.
she was a grown man whisperer too.
That too. And she made light of every situation, not in a bad way or anything like that, or, you know, definitely saw the seriousness of everything, but in everything, she would find a way to see the silver lining. And I swear it's something like I've had to embody. Sometimes I would be like, what would Charrisse say right now? Even like looking around sometimes in my house, I'd be like, if she could see this, she would be so upset because she would come. I remember when we moved into, my husband and I moved into our first apartment together and I was trying to get it together, but we had like a 9-month-old and I'm full-time. I work full-time. My husband was working full-time. We just couldn't get stuff together. She came in and she was like, this goes here, this goes there. I was like, you can just do whatever you want because she's like, you don't have to tell me. That's just how she was. I really could use that right now. But I know a lot of times when I look around, it's like I can hear her. If you don't get your A up and get it together.
Because I was gonna ask you how you coping right now and how you managing the big baby right now without her. And I was gonna ask Tawana the same thing after this one.
The village is how I'm managing. And just using her thinking about her and how just determined she was, even when she was not feeling her best. She's supposed to be like laying down, and I would come home and it's like, where is she? Oh, she went to Marshall's. Like, what? She's not even supposed to be out. Or she went to bingo. How? She's not even supposed to be driving. Sometimes, like, if I'm not feeling my best, it's like she still did it.
Yeah.
I guess I still can. A lot of different situations. I just think of how she would say, live your best life. And that sticks with me. That will never go anywhere. MJ would call her Nana. He copied that from Gavin. And I would like to think that if Raja ever met her, he would do the same thing, but he will know who she is and what she is to us. Because even when I show MJ her picture, like, who's this? Nana. With the kids, sometimes we just say, when they say, oh, where is she? Like, we were raised Jehovah's Witnesses, so we just say she's asleep. Yeah. She's just sleeping. That's something that sometimes gives me comfort as an adult, knowing, what the final transition is. Like, it's hard, especially because of my situation with my mom, but the dreams, when they do come, it's so real. And I live for those. And Jazmine, thank you for sharing, because it makes me think of times where it's like you ask for a sign, they're very real. The signs are very real. When Tawan told me what happened this morning with the pacifier, I had goosebumps all over my body. And I was like, that was her playing tricks with you.
Yeah.
But it's very real. But she was an inspiration. She still is an inspiration to all of us. And
Rainy, you got your shoes on? Put your shoes on.
Hi, Lashon.
And she definitely.
Wow. So you got muted.
Oh, he muted everybody.
You back? Okay. Are you? Sorry, yeah, I cut you off. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just saying she's still the reason for a lot of my motivation, and so many of us, just because of what she was to all of us.
Yeah. So I hope you when you feel like that motivation is running low, and you also remember, like you say, you manage with the family, so you also remember to go back to the family, and hopefully you don't wait till it's too low, so and I'm also part of that family now, so like I said,
an even bigger village, we'll take it.
I got you. So you say Jamaica. I have my wife's dad is from Jamaica, and I tease them a lot, and her mom is from Montserrat, which is a small island next to it. So I tease them a lot. So I used to work at the Apple store. People will come and be like, "Where's your accent from?" And then they will say Jamaica. I'm like, "No, I don't." Thank you. So I laugh sometimes. So I want to see if Lashon wants to say one or two words. Hi.
Hi.
How you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing good. So some of these, I don't know if you guys already know each other, but usually, like, everybody, welcome to. All right. So tell us your story, and you asked that question, And usually I like to reverse the question to people, like in terms of caregiving and how you do self-care. So maybe you can tell us how you connect to Charrisse, and also tell us how you how you doing, why you asked that question, I guess. Yeah.
First, I want to say hello to everybody. I am Jazmine's friend, the friend that she spoke about that went to Florida the day after she had her dream of her mom. So I'm one of those friends that was on the trip with her. I asked that question because I also lost my mom 3 years ago to pancreatic cancer. And one of the hard things was kind of figuring out, I lived in Georgia, she lived in Chicago, I'm from Chicago. So I had to travel, and my job allowed me to work remote. So 2 weeks out of the month, I would travel, stay there with my mom, kind of help my grandmother with her, get her to doctor's appointments, things like that. And so it was really hard trying to work full time, get to those appointments and do those. So I always try to check in with people who are caregivers to see how they're taking care of themselves, because sometimes, we can burn ourselves out not knowing, or just trying so hard because you don't want to disappoint that person, or you don't want to have that guilt on yourself if something was to happen. And so that's what made me ask the question, to make sure that people who are caregivers, who maybe listening to this at some point, that they remember to care for themselves as well.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. I mean, one solution is partying like you guys have been doing. So you gotta do a bit more of that. Thanks for that. And I think this is really very special, and conversations like this can go on. We with 5 minutes shy of 2 hours, and I feel like I can go on and go on. But I say this on every call. Also, there gonna be follow-up calls. There gonna be more parties, and then I wanna hear more singing from Eric, and then and we hope that she's nice to you now, that in your dreams. But I really want to thank everybody for the conversation and for the time, and I will give Tawana and Jazmine the last 2 words. But from my side, I just want to say that I think you said this a few times, but her message was live your life, live your best life. I think Sheila repeated a few times, and I'm gonna remember that. And I think that's a good way of that's what life is about. Is to be lived and to be enjoyed. And then sooner or later we all might transition, but you want to transition leaving a legacy like she's doing. I feel like the way she's remembered, the way she carries on, the way she continues to touch people, that's what life is about also, that legacy, and you guys will help that legacy live on, but you also hopefully continue to benefit for it and have the family continue to grow. So Tawana, Jazmine, I'll let you guys have the last word, and I really want to thank you for this great moment, and thank you all of you for sharing with me. This is special.
Go ahead, Jazzy.
You want me to go first? I guess the last words I will live. She actually had a journal, and I constantly repeat this saying she wrote in there: live your life, live, love, and laugh often. It warms the heart. So that was one of the things that sticks with me. I have to remember, live my life, because she enforced that a lot with me. Like, don't focus everything on Gavin. You got to still live your own life. And, she loved hard. So I get that from her, that was my best friend. So watching her, I love hard. And I often do that same thing. I don't know who told the story, but it's like, I think it was Vicky, that, it may be a tough moment. I can find the laugh, or, you find a point to make them laugh about it, even though they may be going through something that's a little tough. So you got to laugh sometimes to keep from crying. So.
True.
I don't know. I just take from her. It's so much. It's like everything in my house right now. Kind of every room, there's a story behind it. So I always just, I can just go into a room and start laughing to myself. Like, I remember when we went to the store to get this furniture, and I was not going to buy no furniture, and I didn't even want this furniture. And she said, "This is the set we getting. I'm opening up credit cards in the store, buying furniture. Like, we just came to look. And I got a delivery coming on Monday, and she comes home and sells the living room set or the dining room set I have. And I
On
took
Facebook Marketplace.
she just sold the dining room set, and one's coming in 2 weeks. Like, I don't know, like this is, but I feel like, you know, live in the moment. That was her. It was like, you may not be even thinking about going in this path today, but if this is the path that's gonna make you happy, go for it. Just go all in and go for it. So that's kind of how I live these days.
I love that. I think Eric has to tell us 1 or 2 words, especially that I feel your pain, you know, people just buying stuff and showing you doing things. And it's like, you don't control, you don't know anything that is happening. So I love to, you can close it up, wrap it up for us.
Well, I feel like life is like a novel, and you enter chapters in one way and you exit the chapter in another way. And we'd have never known in a million years that she would have been the blessing that came to live with us. Because she came when we was going through a hard time in our marriage. And she was that bridge that bridged the conversation that was needed and to keep us going. And she made light of a bad situation because it was rough. But she figured a way to, you know, communicate, you know, to Tawana in the way that she needed to be communicated to, and to me, the way I needed to be communicated to. And then everything else was like the dessert, you know what I'm saying? So we got the main course of, we survived our marriage, and then everything else was just the perk of having her here.
Wow. Oh, that's quite a legacy and that's quite a difference. So thank you so much for sharing, and you know, you guys went inside your heart and you share your life stories, and to me those are the moments that, you know, that are really important. And so this discussion to be continuing, and I'm gonna go to Eric, come to Eric for some notes. I'm gonna be in trouble for this, but these women can be crazy, right? So thank you. I need you to be on a call when I'm talking to my wife. She's gonna be on it. I'll share the date with you, but I booked her for July, and I don't even know what's gonna happen, but I might need Eric and you two there. But yeah, it's not easy, but yeah, but so grateful that, you know, this is real and in real life, and it's amazing. So thank you so much, everyone, and thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate
Thank
you all.
you.
Thank you so much.
Bye-bye. Bye, everybody.
Bye, everyone. Bye,
Take care.
Shay.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much. We just had a great conversation with Tawana, Jazmine, and everybody on the call. It was a very special call. We talked about Charrisse and how they lived through that, and you know, obviously at a long hour, it was 2-hour conversation, but a very special time. And then I think, you know, this is a person who lived life to the fullest, and will help others do the same. You know, live in the moment, seize the day, and, you know, really be happy. So it was an honor to share that story and to learn from them. And I'm looking forward to, you know, what's gonna be in the next few years, because she really left a great legacy that is still touching people. So thanks for listening. Thanks for tuning in.
It's like on the bait.